at the end of the first verse, I say, I gotta let this grief pass through me. Like realizing when we lost Brandon, I started grieving. When we lost Ray, piled on more grief and I hadn't processed the first loss, right? And then it like hit me. I've got ungrieved grief locked inside and I'm not doing anything with it. And on the plane ride home from that trip, I wrote the first verse to the song.
Walking through a forest, those sequoias uprooted. They stood for a long time, now they exist to nourish. Peace comes, seeing something die in its time. But ungrieved grief, man, it's welling up inside. Young tree fell too soon, no roots to stand on.
Trust, it's hard earned in a cold world. Rumors of war and love turning rust. Tried many times, but my efforts got crushed. Gotta come back, blood, glory, and guts. No one said it's easy, only that it's a must. That's why we making these real fresh cuts. If you ain't turn up, everybody build trust.
Yo, it's Dee Jay Doc. You're just your friendly neighborhood DJ, spinning sound waves of rhythm and rhyme to weave a wonderful web of connection created with courage and tested to produce trust. Welcome to the Trust Belt City.
Yes.
With my special guest, Lee Harrill.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Can't wait to get into this conversation. So this is my brother, y'all. And we've lived many years alongside each other. Mm-hmm. And we've also worked together for about almost a decade.
Yeah, 10 years this fall. Right now, 10 years.
At the nonprofit Refresh Collective.
It's crazy.
And yeah, I just want to dig a little into and share your artistry with the listeners, and also talk about some of your Refresh Collective experience too.
Yeah.
So let's get cracking. I always like to start the podcast for our own benefit and also the listeners, just to pause, take a moment, and think about what is something that right now in this season of your life that you are grateful for.
Man, I'm always grateful for another day of sober living. Sobriety, recovery. I'm in recovery from substance use disorder. And this has been about 7.5 years, man, of just one day at a time, learning how to be sober. And I'm so grateful, man, to wake up with a fresh opportunity each day to serve the community, serve my family, serve my, you're involved in the family part and in the work part. But serve the people around me, and I'm able to do that because of my sobriety, so I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, man.
And another thing I'm really grateful for is a couple weeks ago, our family got bigger. Mm-hmm. My wife and I got to adopt. My wife and I are foster parents, and we got to become her forever home, so I'm very, very grateful for my daughter.
Big celebration.
Yeah, dude.
We might hear her voice on a song later, am I right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When the sun's taken too soon, losing hope cause it's raining like the moon. Rainy days coming no matter what we do, so I feel the grief coming.
How would you describe yourself as an artist? And maybe I won't say anything, I'll let you go first, but
yeah.
we've been making music alongside of each other for years, and I don't know, I'm just curious to say how you would call yourself.
I think to define my artistry now, I'd like to talk about what my artistry has been. For 18 years, a lot of my artistry was leading bands and musical groups in places of faith. And that was a beautiful season of my life. It was a long season, one of the longest seasons of something that I did. Mm-hmm. So 18 years of serving creative people in places of faith, and I enjoyed it. And if you would have asked me that 10 years ago, I might have said that I was like a worship writer or someone who writes songs of faith. Now that season has passed, and I've gone through a personal season of really for the first time in 20 years, or maybe my whole life, I've allowed myself to really wrestle with questions of spirituality and faith. Questions that when we were growing up, maybe like there was no space to ask those questions, in my opinion. And because of that, in some ways, my own personal spirituality has deepened a lot. And then also in other ways, my own belief that I have the answers has started to like fade a little bit, right? Yeah. And so you asked me what kind of artist I am or describe my artistry. You know, on one hand, I'm not much of an artist. I don't put out a lot of content. I don't write songs constantly. I don't record a lot of songs anymore. But I'm always writing the next song. The song we're going to talk about is not a song I ever wanted to write. I wish I had not had to write it, but I did need to write it. And so I would say, as an artist, I'm an artist who has learned that my artistic process is not just about writing a song. It's a process that I need as a human. I needed to write this song for myself, you know, and then invite other people into it to see. Yeah. So however that answers your question.
So are you a hip hop artist? Would you call yourself an MC? Would you not? Are you a singer? Like, I mean, I know you're a singer, but.
Yeah, I'm a singer. I'm a singer, songwriter. I've got guitars on the walls right behind the camera. I play lots of instruments, drums and piano and stuff. Hip hop became a part of my life at a young age because all of a sudden I found myself sleeping in a bedroom that was filled with hip hop equipment because my older brother was an inspiring hip hop artist and DJ, right? And you have always been a role model to me. And at a young age, I, just wanted to be like you and the other guys that you were rapping with, right? So hip hop, in a sense, I didn't start loving hip hop or writing hip hop because that's what I wanted to do. It's really because of the group I wanted to be around, right? And then later in life, as I found myself having to write about some deeper topics, that's where hip hop became at least a part of my artistry. Right. Because at the end of the day, I need to write bars on something, not a couple little lyrics here and there, So yeah, I mean, I tell people that I rap and I sing. And I don't define it as a hip hop artist or not. I think, I'll let people decide for themselves. Is it a hip hop song or not?
I think he's a true MC, personally. That's my thought.
Thank you, sir.
What do you think? So talking about your role at Refresh Collective, the hip hop nonprofit, I started 15 years ago. 16. You joined about 10 years ago. Uh-huh. And about half of your time was in Cleveland. Yep. And then you moved to Cincinnati, and we actually branched out and started the Cincinnati chapter of Refresh Collective. Yeah. And now you are the lead there. So first, in your Cleveland years, what's something that just brought you so much joy? What's a story or what's a time, a student in our work, like what brought you joy in that work, doing that work?
Yeah. Can I name students?
Yeah.
Dylan Palmer, wherever
Shout
you
out,
are, man.
Tall, baby.
Yeah, Dylan. I met Dylan in a classroom at the High School for Recording Arts in Cleveland. It was one of the first hip hop songwriting programs that maybe I ran solo, I think, in my teaching artist days. Yep. And man, I can remember this picture like it was yesterday, where I started class and did whatever the opening, kick a question or whatever it was back then, icebreaker, I think we called it, and did that part. And then once we broke out into groups, I noticed this kid was in the back the whole time that I was talking at the beginning. He was playing the piano, digital piano like this, and headphones on. And so I went over and I was like, yo, what's up, man? Dapped him up. What's up? My name's Lee. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to, and he was really like apologizing for, I don't know what.
Touching the keyboard
at the digital recording studio classroom at a school. And I was just like, man, like, how long have you been playing keyboard? And he's like, oh, I don't really play. And I was like, what? And so I was like, let me hear it. And he played for me. Oh, I was just messing around. And he plays, I mean, he played the piano well. And I realized in that moment, like, oh, this kid has not ever had a piano lesson, and he's playing beautiful music at the piano. And, you know, honestly, I like saw myself in him. You know, Doc, you know this, but when I was like, I don't know, 17 or so, taught myself to play piano.
Yep.
And so I saw this moment of like, dude, this kid has so much talent. And then at the same time, he felt like he needed to apologize to me. So fast forward a few years, we had an opportunity to bring the students down to Cincinnati, actually, to the National Farm to Table Conference. And they had written a song that I think I helped produce called Eat Fresh.
Yeah.
Eat fresh, farm to cafeteria, eat fresh. And Dylan Palmer sang on that song, he rapped on that song.
I have a dream that we can be the team. Raise your hands to sign this petition. What we need now is commitment to bring healthy food to the kitchen.
This is a prolonged upsetter. We need fresh food forever. This is not a dilemma. I'm at the end December with frozen tactics like winter, but I bring the heat, so no shiver. We want our food to be better. Destroy every food desert.
Eat fresh. I'm tired of eating less. I'm trying to.
And Dylan Palmer rocked the mic at that show, and it was a total transformation. And maybe we've got some video of that somewhere we can like edit in or something, but this dude killed it. And if you look at the first day I met Dylan to that day, just that transformation, that's what brings me joy, man. Like, and that wasn't me. It wasn't us transforming a student. That was us creating a safe space, an honoring space. We honor everyone's voice. It was inviting Dylan into the process over and over and over, and just watching him find out that his voice was there, man. And he just became such a joy, man, to be around, and powerful voice, that kid, man.
Yeah, and we still stay in contact.
That's right.
He's doing well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so proud of him, man.
Yeah. So yeah.
Those are epic days, epic early days, man.
If we ain't together like sardines, then we can't ride on the same team. Solving mysteries like we Scooby-Doo. Engaging communities, do to you. Everything's better when we come together. Everything's better when we come together. Everything's better when we come together. When we come together, everything's better.
And then you moved to Cincinnati, and you actually pioneered and started Refresh Collective's first full-time studio classroom at Lighthouse. Mm-hmm. And a year later, Refresh Collective's second full-time recording studio at Aiken High School.
That's right.
So tell us about the journey.
Yeah, I mean, the journey to Cincinnati was epic. I moved down here, we found some amazing partners. Block was one of our first partners here. They're awesome. A couple other key individuals along the way. And yeah, we brought the print shop here. We used to have a recovery-rich print shop where people in early recovery would come and learn how to print T-shirts. We did that for quite a while, and actually just partnered with another organization, and they took that over just here recently. And during that time, I was slowly, building roots in the community, like I watched you do in Cleveland. And we got to know a couple key people at Cincinnati Public Schools. Shout out to our friend Lisa Freilich.
Yeah.
She's amazing. And, Lisa's one of those people that you talked about. Like, maybe there's people here who love the same people we do. That's Lisa, right? And so we found out that, like, synergistic partnerships can happen when you have like-minded, like-hearted people involved in, both organizations. And she asked me, if we could bring our hip-hop services into the schools. And I think off rip, I was like, yes, and we want to do a full-time classroom. And that's what we set up. Yeah. And it was awesome, man.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about the artists that you found that have been running the classrooms for the past few years.
Yeah, our teaching artists, they're good people. Mm-hmm. Kayla Mead, Jonah Price, Regis Jones. Yeah. Jonah is Gatsby, and Regis Jones is K-Drama. I got to know Kayla over time outside of Refresh, and I just thought that she had the exact constitution for the classroom. Like, she loves people well, and she cares about people well. She's an amazing singer and artist, and we found out she's a crazy good rapper.
Yeah.
Like, girl's written like 7 verses, and every single one is fire.
For some reason, the students always say that her verses are the best.
They do, man. And also at every show that she performs at, that's the highlight. Like, that's
the
where
peak
there's
of
the
whole
roar
show.
of
Yeah, that's true.
the crowd or something.
Yeah.
It's wild, man. She's so good. I found Kayla and I knew each other, asked her to come on staff. And then at the same time, through a friend, met Regis, K-Drama. Yeah, and he had been doing his own beat making classes at local libraries. And then COVID hit, and it was a weird time to start something new.
Right.
And so anyways, we ended up in a coffee shop, and it was crazy. What was the app that you and I used to use for beat making?
Beatmaker, oh snap.
Beatmaker.
Beatmaker 2.
Beatmaker
right?
2.
Beatmaker 2 on the iPad.
Now,
Yeah.
nobody knows about Beatmaker 2.
It's the best, to me still, it was the best beat making software that ever existed. I don't
On
know,
the
maybe now
iPad.
there's the newer ones, but at
It's
that
amazing.
time, it was the one.
Yeah, we made literally, no joke, hundreds of songs with students in classrooms in Cleveland, Beatmaker 2 on iPads. So we're at the coffee shop. Regis asks me, what app did we use to make beats? And I'm like, well, no one's ever heard of it, but Beatmaker 2. And he pulls an iPad out of his bag, and then Beatmaker 2 is right on it, dude. So that was crazy, man. So again, we just happened to meet somebody who cares deeply about kids. Number 1. 2, is an artist, right, themselves. And 3, wants to teach, right, the next generation of artists. And that was pretty awesome, man. And then later on, Jonah got added to the team. Met him again through somebody that I knew here in Cincy, and it was a perfect fit right from the get-go. Yeah, man, those guys have done amazing things. So to be clear, I didn't open up, like, in Cleveland, when we opened up a new summer camp in Glenville, then we went and did one at St. Clair Superior, it was Doc and I were the teaching artists. Here, those teaching artists went in. So it was actually the first time, I think, that we ever started and established a brand new type of program, and like, we weren't the ones teaching, which was crazy. And the team they've just been awesome, man.
It's been amazing to watch, you know.
Yeah.
So now we are going to actually take a little listen to a clip of your new song, Dark Days.
Dark Days.
I just want to share with you guys a little piece of it, and then we'll talk about it.
Walking through a forest, those sequoias uprooted. They stood for a long time, now they exist to nourish. Peace comes, seeing something die in its time. But ungrieved grief, man, it's welling up inside. Young tree fell too soon, no roots to stand on. The reaper showed up early, marked him, put his brand on. And just like that, his name drops from the news. Standing with my people at a funeral, half-empty pews. Yo, man, hold up, I only knew him for 6 months. You're telling me that we're the only leaders to show up? Tears falling like leaves, I'm feeling out of place. Asking questions like, what could I have done to change his fate? Enraged with hate for systems that be playing faves. Sentencing young men of color to their early graves. To the city, he's a number, just lost in the community. Oh man, I need to let this grief pass through me. Dark days when our sun's taken too soon. Losing hope cause it's waning like the moon. Rainy days coming no matter what we do. So we feel the grief coming and let it pass through. And let it pass through.
Yeah, so there's a lot in there, man. Tell us, why did you write the song? There's some real deep hidden lyrics in the first verse, or a couple really like.
And the second.
Yeah, and the second verse. But from what we just heard.
Oh yeah.
Maybe like explain a little bit what's behind there.
Yeah. So the song I never wanted to write. So the first year that we opened up our full-time embedded studio classroom inside of Cincinnati Public. We opened it up at Lighthouse Community School, and Lighthouse is a specialty school within the system, and so kids who are struggling to perform or be in other high schools are this is like the school for them to go to, and get extra help, extra credit recovery, some behavioral stuff too, as a part of it. So it's not a huge student body. To put it in perspective, at one of our high schools, we see between 80 and 120 students a year. At Lighthouse, we'll see, that first year we saw 12 students, right? So 12 students, and they came into our classroom and thrived. And that's not our words, that's the school's words. These kids are thriving in your room because, Regis and Kayla and myself and us, we build trust with our students. And we're trauma informed, we're trust based. And obviously we have a very unique, we call it hip hop pedagogy. We invite kids to the Cypher, the place where we're all the same, where we all have a voice and we listen to each other deeply. And yeah, man, these kids are doing great in our class, man. For instance, Brandon, one of our students, he came into class and I think he ended up recording something like 20 songs that year. And he was always freestyling because he didn't have a lot of confidence when it came to like written word. But he was, he'd come in and freestyle, and like lots of our students over time, over the 10 years that I've been here at least, and I think before that, many times students come into the booth and they're gonna, at first emulate, popular hip hop culture with the type of lyrics that they bring. And it's not bad or wrong, but it's, sometimes dangerous lyrics, if that makes sense. And we are not going to tell them what to say. We're just going to build trust with them, right? And over time, we got to see Brandon slowly open up and talk about deep things, real things in his life. And so I saw him, kind of, I used to say like shake the cool off, Now I would say we started to see like his trauma open, like get past the shell. That we all put up sometimes, we all have things that we put up our walls, right? And man, he killed it. And he and I started writing a song together about, him growing up and, going through hard times that it's probably, I don't think I should share it because it's too personal, but he was going through some hard stuff. Brandon and I started writing a song together. He wanted to write one, I was going to sing on it, and it was called Rainy Days. And Rainy Days came from him remembering walking in the rain home from school or from one house to another house, and he didn't have shoes, right? So rainy days were the worst days because he, didn't have shoes on. He's walking in the rain. And that song didn't get finished because shortly after that, our teaching artist and I were in the classroom one day, and staff from the school came in and said, "Hey, we wanted to let you guys know that it was Brandon." And we were like, "What was Brandon?" Because we didn't know. And they said, "Brandon is dead. He had gotten shot." And man, that was a hard day, man. It's hard when I realize that like someone in our care that I've built trust with, that I know, they know me. It's hard when you're faced with the fact that his life experience was so different than mine. You know what I mean? And he's a 15-year-old kid. And, dealing with situations where you're even around. I'll just say, I've never in my whole life been in a situation where I thought that my life was in danger like that, right? Unfortunately, too many of our students deal with that way too often, like every day, right? So in that song, the verse you just heard, there's a lyric that says, the Reaper showed up early, marked him, put his brand on. And I put that in there because Brandon, I wanted to like put his name in the song, There's another point later on in the song where I mention Ray. I think I say, searching for a single ray of hope. Ray was another student of ours that first year at Lighthouse. he's gone today, you know? And then finally at the end of the song, you'll hear I just name 4 names. I say, pause and think of Brandon, think of Ray, Shamari, and our guy Hassan. All 4 of those students out of 12 gone today. So that's what Dark Days is about. Even in the hook, I said Rainy Days Coming. I wanted Rainy Days in there because Brandon and I never got to finish that song together, man. And so, yeah.
How did you support your teaching artists who experienced that loss when it also had such a personal impact on you at the same time?
That's a good question to ask the teaching artists. You know, I remember you came down, and I remember Regis and Kayla and myself and you, that was the whole crew here in Cincinnati at the time, standing at Brandon's funeral. And, you know, I remember thinking, I don't know how to lead our team like this, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to lead myself. I don't know how to grieve a student who was in our life, and then this tragic thing happened to him. I tried to lead by being vulnerable and letting my team know that, like, I'm struggling, you know, real bad. When we lost Ray, I went to that funeral. Again, Kayla, Regis, myself. And I remember a friend of ours from Cincinnati, Justin, who's from a church here that we're involved with. And he's a awesome dude, man. Like, has a shepherd's heart for people. And I remember he came, and I was like, man, I'm so glad you're here, you know. And he said, like, I wouldn't miss it, you know, like, of course I'm here, you know. And I think that was the first time that I realized, or maybe that was the first time I put words to it, that actually I needed to be led, because I didn't know what I was doing, man. Like, how do you lose 2 kids in 1 year? And then a 3rd kid in 1 year, and then a 4th kid in less than 2 years later. And I couldn't go to the last 2 funerals, man. I think something that I really realized writing this song, and maybe for the people listening, I started writing this song 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it took a long time. And, you know, at the end of the first verse, I say, oh man, I gotta let this grief pass through me. Like, realizing that, I think when we lost Brandon, I started grieving. When we lost Ray, piled on more grief, and I hadn't processed the first loss, right? And there's so much anger and frustration at the systems that we see in society that quite literally, in my opinion, hold Black and brown people down, right? But also dealing with the fact that I don't look like them, you know, and how do I use my voice in all this, right? Like, it became a long-term struggle of mine to deal with the grief and know how to let it pass through me, you know, let that energy move through me, and then use that energy to do something else, like actually do something with the energy, right? So yeah, I think that, you know, then by the 3rd and 4th loss, while they hit just as hard, I kind of like built up my shell. Like, I can't feel more grief, right? So like that all happened, and I found myself really like in a cocoon, in a pressure situation, but not one that, you know, sometimes at Refresh we talk about the cocoon or the booth, like this high pressure situation, and then you like transform into a butterfly. This was more like being crushed down by heavy weight, and really not sure like how to how to stand up again or find an option of joy. It was a hard grieving period. And then my wife and I had an opportunity to go on a trip. We were in Oregon, and we were walking through this forest. It was a sequoia forest, and right on the coast with some dear friends of ours. And it was kind of like that, except it was like really muddy that day, you know. And we're walking around, and I'm seeing these like massive, beautiful, gorgeous trees that have stood for years and years. You know, I don't know how old a sequoia tree is when it's this big round, you know, but I guess 200 years old, 300 years. So for years and years, it was this one beautiful thing, and it did this thing it was supposed to be, this tree. And they're falling down, you know, and they're uprooted. It's right in the song, you know, walking through a forest, old sequoias uprooted. They stood for a long time. Now they exist to nourish. You know, these like old trees, and some of them they've got mushrooms growing on them, or they're like half decimated or decayed or something. And you see this like beautiful picture of the circle of life and how something that was once so mighty and strong now just exists to feed the ferns that are growing up next to it, right? And then it like hit me like, oh, this ungrieved grief. You know, like I've got ungrieved grief locked inside, and I'm not doing anything with it. And on the plane ride home from that trip, I wrote the first verse to the song.
Yep.
You know, young tree fell too soon, no roots to stand on, you know. So yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I know that we talk a lot about how, and we help students write hip hop songs to tell their story, to process their pain, and to reclaim hope and heal. And so even while, you know, being a part of this process, like how did writing this song help you heal?
Oh man. Yeah, we say name your pain and claim your tomorrow. That's a Jeremy Bryan-ism. Name your pain and claim your tomorrow. I think when, you know, whatever divine illumination happened in the woods that day for me, when I saw some old trees fell down and things clicked, that's when I realized that if I don't write about this, I'm not going to have it pass through, right? And so I did, you know, and I started to write slowly, you know, really slowly. And it was about a year until I wrote the second verse, and it was about 6 months before I wrote the third verse. And when I wrote the first verse, I would say that I named my pain, right? And let out just a little tiny bit of my rage that was inside, and frustration and deep sadness. Started to deal with that. Then afterwards, quite frankly, I recorded that and I listened to that verse 1,000 times myself. It was for me, you know, and moments of, you know, feeling angry, moments of listening to it and just, you know, quite frankly, weeping, you know, for the loss of the students and remembering the light that they brought into our lives. And then when I wrote verse 2, it starts off, gotta fix the dam, leaky, cracked, and broken, you know, and then verse 2 really looks at the upstream, downstream model of crisis management, or, you know, how to build systems and how to deal with broken systems. The downstream model is someone's drowning, you jump in, you save them. You swim back to shore. Someone else drowns, you jump in and save them. And you over and over and over again until finally you realize you're getting tired and you can't save anyone else. And there's way more bodies coming down the river that need saved. The upstream model being go upstream and fix the dam where it's broken, right? So that's what I wrote about. Like, I see the systems that our kids are in, and I see many cracks in the walls. And that's why we're losing students downstream. But feeling like I gotta go up here and fix the leaky dam, but also downstream, too many bodies are floating, right? So I wrote that verse really looking at systems and starting to turn the corner into like what are we gonna do? What am I gonna do about this now? Now that I'm letting this grief pass through me, that means I've got energy coming out of me, and now I can repurpose that energy to do something. And then the third verse I think is really beautiful, because I start to talk about what we do at Refresh, but I got to bring in some of our teaching artists into the studio, some of our administrators from the school, Lisa from CPS, Shakisha from CPS, 2 of our students from CPS, and they came into this room and added their voices at the end. And, you know, kind of as just like an artistic choice, I fade my voice out towards the end, and you hear the group of us saying, we remix, we refresh, even though we feel burnt out. And, you know, this song doesn't end on a, now everything's better. Like, there's no joy in this song for me yet. You know, I lost 4 students. We lost 4 out of 12 students. Like, that ratio is terrible, and I don't want to ever forget it. But also, let's turn the corner and use that energy to like refocus our energies on what our mission is, you know. And so I think that's kind of, you know, what I experienced writing the song. I experienced, one, that you can't just write a song in a day, because I didn't have any of those lyrics 3 years ago, 2 years ago, you know. And, you know, now it exists.
Yep.
And it could hopefully bring healing to someone.
So for all the other teachers, youth mentors, parents out there that also have lost students, you know, what would you leave them with today?
Well, first of all, I would say that I'm just so sorry that you lost a student. That we know how it feels. And that there's a call that I think good teachers, good teaching artists, good mentors, there's a call or like a weight that we carry. And it's, if we're going to build trust with students, and if we're going to give our lives and our artistry to give back to communities that are underserved, are marginalized, if that's what I do, that's what I choose to do, and it is what I choose to do, then I'm also choosing to run headfirst into the devastating numbers that exist in those systems, right?
So I normally end the podcast asking what's a book, poem, or album that has resonated or inspired you recently, but I feel like today, I think it's just all about this song being out. And I know you wrote this more for yourself to heal and deal with this, but I just want to send out dark days to all of the other teachers out there that's lost someone, lost a student, and specifically to Regis and Kayla, who was teaching in that classroom, and to the Refresh team and to the CPS team. So just want to send the song out to you guys, and thanks for writing it, Lee, finishing it, you know what I mean, and being so vulnerable to share your journey.
Yeah, man, my honor.
Yeah, man. Where could everyone find you online, your music?
Yeah.
Where's it at?
Lee Harrill Music. You can find Lee Harrill Music on Spotify, Apple, and Just Too Grateful on Instagram. You can find me on there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being with us through this difficult episode and just sharing this moment with us. Thanks and peace.
Peace.